It was the week of good ideas. Jacinta Pinochet Allen, the Premier of Victoria, had a huge idea. Why don't we go holding an arms dealing fair, bang in the middle of a genocide, bang in the middle of Melbourne? What a great idea that is. What could possibly go wrong with holding a weapons fair in central Melbourne in the middle of the genocide, showcasing Elbit Systems weapons that are killing thousands of Palestinian children? What could possibly go wrong? Those nasty peace protesters, that's what could go wrong. But the idea was crafty enough. You see, the idea was this: let's cause mayhem, bus hundreds of police officers in from interstate, from New South Wales, get this big media presence going. They knew that the corporate media would back this idea in of hurling abuse at the protesters and saying it's all their fault. They invoked the terrorism laws for this week to really make a show of this thing. This was, make no mistake, this was a PR stunt by Jacinta Pinochet Allen. It was a PR stunt designed to appeal to the bogan outer suburb voters, strong on crime, and bag the Greens for being lefty, pro-Hamas, latte-sipping, obstructionist types. In fact, it was the police themselves, the 1,200 police. They overcooked the numbers. They overcooked the pepper spray, the stun grenades, the batons bashing up protesters, and then they played the victim. I mean, Netanyahu would be swooning with admiration. The Zionists would be loving it. Not only did they blame the Greens and Hamas and the protesters, bit of victim blaming, but then they played the victim themselves, saying, oh, dozens of police officers rushed off to hospital. Well, let's see their injuries. Acid thrown at the police officers. Let's see the acid. By the end of the week, of course, it wasn't acid. It was like a namby-pamby acid. The words were something like low-level acid. I mean, are we talking orange juice here? Or are we talking the bubbles? Literally, the protest was all blowing bubbles at this picket line of police, of heavily armed police just itching for a brawl. They were blowing the bubbles. Was it the chemicals in the bubbles that they were saying was the acid that was dousing police? What a beat-up. So they spent $15 million on this PR stunt. They put up the police in hotels. They invoked the emergency terror laws. They played the victim with the acid, blamed it on the protesters, carried on like they were the victims. I mean, the only problem was, of course, that it backfired because people have, it's a newfangled technology, but it's called mobile phones. And all the evidence shows the protesters, apart from a couple of people who chucked things, were essentially peaceful, and it was the police who'd obviously been worded up to be brutal and come down hard on these peace protesters. PR stunt gone wrong, ended up in Al Jazeera, ended up on BBC, ended up world news. Come to Victoria. Come and get stun gun. Victoria, the holiday destination of fake acid. What a backfire. What a feeble attempt. What a feeble attempt. Meanwhile, there's the disruptions against the Greens in the Sydney Council elections. This will be the big trend going into the federal election, bashing up the Greens, the media duopoly and the political duopoly ganging up. It doesn't look like it's working. And here we were. We thought, with the Donald Trump debate, the presidential debate with Kamala Harris, Trump's claims of executing children, Democrats executing children, and immigrants eating pets on a pet-eating rampage. We thought that would be the news, but no. Hold my beer, says Jacinta Pinochet Allen for this PR stunt. We even thought at the beginning of the week that Joshi Frydenberg is still attempting to make a comeback and came up with this world's greatest economic managers line. We thought, well, that's going to last all week. Published his own story, marked his own homework he did in the Israeli newspaper, Rupert Murdoch's national broadsheet masthead in the Israeli. What a great job we've done, said Josh. And Labor has blown it. That's the quintessential rewriting of history just there. There were lots of other scams Labor did, to their credit, try to push some bills through this week. The anti-doxing bill. Well, I bet News Corporation has a carve-out from that one, and the Zios would have a carve-out from that one. This is just targeted like Jacinta's. Let's malign the protesters. Let's stick it to the people who don't fall in line with what the state wants. And the state is this duopoly, which is losing credibility. What is going to happen? Well, we've got the Queensland election coming up. That'll be a good one. But just a very important announcement here. We've been carrying on about this anti-money laundering bill, the AML-CTF Tranche 2, which was promised 17 years ago to capture lawyers, accountants and property developers' money laundering. Australia is a white-collar criminal paradise with a deluge of Chinese and other foreign money coming in, pushing up prices at the high end. It's all secret. It's all hidden in trusts and various things like that. And so it pushes up property prices for everyone. It's a huge public interest thing. But finally, the government, yes, Marky Dreyfus, the AG, he's finally come good by introducing the bill to Parliament this week. Check it out. Here is the actual bill. And beneficial ownership register, which means the public should be able to see who owns what assets. 17 years this has been coming. Well, the beneficial ownership register stuff, which they say they're going to make public in the bill, that's been coming for decades. It's been called on for decades because it's the right thing to do. But we have this terrible aching suspicion, this terrible twitch going on, thinking that maybe this is just like a political ploy. Maybe they're not going to legislate the bill before June 30 because the accountants, the property developers and the lawyers who are busy money laundering for foreign interests, their business suddenly dries up if they can't money launder anymore. So surely they're not just going to introduce this public interest bill on behalf of the people that voted them in. Well, we'll soon see. Our suspicion is that it will get derailed, that it will get put into another Senate committee hearing for objections and for debate, for stakeholders to have their say because they've only been having their say for 17 years. It'll be a good one. And we'll report back next week to see whether they've already canned it or maybe they've just gone bugger it. Let's do the right thing for once. Let's just govern in the interests of the people. Have they done it? Could they do it? Could they just go bugger it? We're just going to do the right thing. We're not going to pull a scam. We're just going to, that could be the scam. That they didn't pull a scam. Who knows? Well, we're going to know soon because it's got to happen by September 30. Either they pass the bill or they don't. So we'd urge you to have a look at the website. We've got some great stories on the foreign interference in local elections in Sydney. The Sydney local elections are coming up. Wendy Bacon's hot on that one. Very nefarious sort of astroturfing types behind it. We've got an excellent story by Kim Wingeray of the ABC Bullion mysterious scam going on there. We won't go too far, but it was brought up in Parliament this week. That's where ASIC walked away from an investigation. We published a whole lot of leaked WhatsApp messages saying, it's pretty explosive stuff. Go and check that out. There's a host of other good things on the website. So thank you for your support. It's essential for public interest journalism so you don't swallow this mainstream media scam stuff coming out of Melbourne this week, thanks to Jacinta, Pinochet, Allen, that you get the true picture, or at least a balanced view, which hasn't been sanctioned by government, corporations and other vested interests, often foreign ones. So thanks for your support. Like, share or comment in the space below.